Hi, I'm Brenda Quintana, coming to you from the Beehive at QBsQuest.com. Today I'm showing the third card in my Fancy Fold series, where I endeavor to make fancy folds easier to create. Today we are tackling the center step card. The center step card requires some special cutting using a paper trimmer and some scoring, but once the cutting and scoring is done, the card is pretty easy to finish off. The bundle that we are going to be using to create this card is called the Sweetest Thing Bundle, and it consists of the Sweetest Thing stamp set and the Jar of Sweets framelits. When you purchase these together as a bundle, you can save 10%. Now this card is really fun because it has this element that kind of sticks out in the center. When you open it up, there is still lots of room to write on the inside. I've created the images in two different ways. I have used the How Sweet It Is Designer Series paper on one, and on the other one I stamped and colored the images. I'm going to show you how to make this fold from start to finish. So let's get started. So to start off with, I'm going to be using a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock, and I've cut this piece to 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. I'm going to be using my Stampin' trimmer here, and I'm going to be starting off with the 5.5 inch side up at the top. Now I've taken some little post-it note pieces and I've lined them up with the 1 inch mark on my vertical ruler here and the 5.25 inch mark. And this is just going to make it really easy for me to know that I want to cut out in this center section, and that way I won't have to double check my measurements each time that I'm doing the cutting. So with the 5.5 inch side up at the top, I'm going to line up my piece at the 4.5 inch mark. So just line up your side of the cardstock at the 4.5 inch mark. And then I'm going to be bringing this ruler down. I'm not going to be bringing it down all the way because I need to move my cutting blade down to the 1 inch mark. And once I have it at the right spot, I can press down. And I'm going to cut from the 1 inch right down to the 5.25 inch mark. And then I'm going to lift up, and then I'm going to flip my piece from left to right, and I'm going to score on the other side. So again, I'm going to move this over to the 4.5 inch mark, and I'm going to bring my cutting blade back up to the 1 inch mark without actually cutting anything. I'm just keeping this up. And then I'm going to cut from the 1 inch mark down to the 5.25 inch mark again. So just to hold this up, these are two parallel lines of the same length. Now you're done with your Stampin' trimmer. And I'm going to do the second part on my scoring board. And this time I'm going to have the 8.5 inch side up at the top. And you want to orient it such that the cut marks are closer to the left side than the right side. Notice that there's more space here that's not cut. You want the cut side towards the left hand side. So now we're going to score at 3 places, but we're just going to score part way. So we're going to score just to this cut line right here, and we'll score at the 1 inch mark, the 2 inch mark, and the 5.25 inch mark. And now we're going to flip this piece from top to bottom. Again, the cut side is closer to this end, and we're going to score at the 1 inch mark, again the 2 inch mark, and the 5.25 inch mark, and we're just scoring down to the cut line. Then we just need to do one more score line, and we need to score at the 4.25 inch mark, and this time we're just going to score in this center part of the cardstock, not on the outside at all. So to find where the 4.25 inch mark starts in the center, you can use a ruler and just line it up right next to your 4.25 inch mark, and you're going to come down to the cut line, and you're going to kind of maneuver your stylus tool until you feel it hit the groove. And once you feel it hit the groove, you're going to score down all the way to just that cut line. Okay? So this is what it looks like right here. You've just scored down the center section. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to have the cut section closest to you. You're going to start off by folding the score lines that are closest to you down. So just give them a little push downward. Then the next score line is going to be folded up. So down, up. And then this score line right here is also going to be folded down. And then this one back here is folded down. So then you can do it one more time, and now this whole piece should bend a little better now that you've got them all folded in the right direction. So this one comes down. The next one here comes up, and then this one comes down, and this one also comes down. And once you've got it fairly flat, you can take your bone folder and smooth down those folds. And so there you've got your base for the center step card fold. So now we just need to decorate up this card. When you're stamping it, it's easier to have it laying flat. And you're going to need 2 of the jars from the Sweetest Thing stamp set. And I'm going to use the Pool Party ink pad to stamp them. And so I'm going to start off with a taller, skinnier jar. And I'm going to ink it up. We're going to be stamping in the center section here. This bottom's going to have a banner on it, so if you want to just give yourself a visual that you need to stamp in this square section, you can put a ruler or a piece of cardstock down here just so you can have an idea of the area that you need to stamp in. So this one, I'm going to stamp it about 3/4 of an inch from the side and about 1/2 inch from the top. Like that. And then I'm going to take my second jar and I'm just going to stamp that one just a little bit lower and kind of right beside it. Like that. Then I'm going to stamp the candy in basic gray, and then we're going to color it in. So I'm going to use this kind of assortment of candy, and I'm going to ink that up. And I'm going to stamp that right in the center of this piece. I'm trying not to actually stamp it near the edge. I want it very much centered in the middle of the jar. That's the way it looks the best. And I'm going to take the jelly beans, and I'm also going to just center it in the middle of the candy jar. Now I'm just going to take a variety of Stampin' Blends and use them to color in these candy. You can see a list of the colors that I used on my supply list. There you go. The candy is now all colored. So now I want to create the banner that goes down here at the bottom. So to do that, I'm going to need a piece of Whisper White, and I've cut this piece to 6 1/4 inches by 5/8 of an inch. And I'm going to use my banner triple punch. I'm going to open it up here, and since the slot is a little too wide for my width of paper, I'm going to turn the punch around, and I'm just going to slide this in so I can see it come through this little window right here. And I'm just going to make sure that it is lined up properly and it looks even for the end of the banner, and then I'll just go ahead and punch it. And then I'll go ahead and punch the other side. Just make sure both times that your cardstock is hitting the bottom of the punch, and that way it will be the correct length you'll need for the greeting that I'm going to use. So then we're going to use our Coastal Cabana ink, and let me open this up, and we're going to be using this nice long greeting, Make It a Sweet Celebration, and then you can stamp Happy Birthday on the inside so you can tie it in. So let's just go ahead and center this and stamp this on a little banner like that. And then a really easy way to decorate up these side pieces is to use some designer series paper. And what better designer series paper to use than the matching one that matches the bundle. And this paper is called How Sweet It Is. And I've cut a strip that is 12 inches by an inch. And you'll just need your Stampin' trimmer to cut it into 3 pieces. The nice thing about this card is that it's going to completely use up this 12 by 1 inch strip. So I'll put the 12-inch side up at the top and line it up at the 5.5 inch mark. And then I'll go ahead and cut it. And then I'll also want to move it over to the 3.25 inch mark. And make sure it's lined up and cut it again. So you'll have 2 3.25 inch pieces and 1 5.5 inch piece, and they're both 1 inch wide. So then you can take this piece and use a little bit of Tombow and just put it on the back of the designer series paper. Want to use just a little bit of Tombow, not too much, because it is designer series paper and you don't want to overwhelm it. And that first piece just gets added to the bottom like that. Doesn't that look pretty? And then we've just got to cover these 2 side pieces. So just go ahead and add Tombow to the back of that piece. And it just fits in nicely right in between those pieces. Just make sure it's in between those 2 score lines. And then we have this last piece. And we can just add that right here, like that. And then we can take this banner piece and put some Tombow on the back of it. And you just want to center this right down here. Doesn't that paper look nice? It just really pops the greeting, right? So then we're going to take a piece of this beautiful reversible ribbon. It's Coastal Cabana on one side and Granny Apple Green on the other side. I'm going to just be trying to use just the Coastal Cabana side. This is about a 14-inch length. So I'm just going to bring it through the center part right here. I'm just going to tie it around the middle, right underneath the candy. So to do that, I will start off, I'm going to tie my first knot, and it's going to be a little bit towards the left side. So I'm just going to kind of maneuver it over there. So I'll do my first knot. I'm going to do left over right, and then I'm just going to bring that first knot in. And you know I like to use these locking tweezers. They just help hold the ribbon in place so that you can get a nice knot and take your time with it. So, and especially when you're doing this knot and trying to reverse the ribbon so that only the Coastal Cabana side is really showing. So I'm kind of twisting this ribbon, and I'm twisting this one up too. So now I'm going to do right over left. So this one's going to come through, and I'm trying to keep it such that the Coastal Cabana ribbon is coming to the top, which you can do when you have locking tweezers because it's kind of holding your knot into place. So I'm kind of bringing it in, and I'm going to remove the tweezers. So you can see just a little bit of that Granny Apple Green ribbon coming through, and that is absolutely fine. I really don't mind that at all. I just kind of want the Coastal Cabana showing through more. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim off those ends just a little bit and kind of maneuver your ribbon just a little bit more. Cut off the ends on an angle like that. You can play with it a little bit more to bring it down exactly where you want it. And there is the finished card. And I love this card because you can stamp this as many times as you want, and the Stampin' Blends are very nice to color with it. I just took the colors right out of the paper that I was using, so that made it really easy to choose those colors. Now, on the card that I made earlier, I wanted to make this card like even easier to do. So if you're in a time crunch, you can take a piece of the How Sweet It Is Designer Series paper and the matching die that we have can cut out these pieces as well. So it's just really easy to cut these out and then glue them directly onto the piece. And guess what? They look almost the same as the stamped image. They just have a little bit more pool party shading in the back. So they look almost identical. And I just used a different paper out of the How Sweet It Is Designer Series paper. So that's where that different color paper comes in. But isn't that cool? I think this would make a really great birthday card. So for the inside, I just took one of the stamps out of the Sweetest Thing stamp set, this one right here, and I stamped it on Coastal Cabana, and then there's a die that cuts out the outside, and then I stamped Happy Birthday, and I punched it out with a 1 1/8 inch scallop punch. And so now I can use this, and I can actually glue this on the inside just like this one, and then that ties in the greeting from the outside. I'll make it a sweet celebration, happy birthday. So it's just a nice way to tie in all of those stamps together. All the supplies you'll need to make this center step card are available for purchase on my blog. The link is in the description of this video. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Bye for now.
I love to reward my customers with free tutorials. Check out my mini mailboxes tutorial that holds Ghirardelli chocolate envelopes. You can get this tutorial free if you place a minimum $15 order in my Stampin' Up store. For more details, check out my blog at cubiesquest.com and click on Rewards. Hi, it's Brenda again. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also visit my blog for more information on my projects and to learn about my rewards program, or just watch another one of my videos. Thanks for watching.